Well, thank you all for joining us on this installment of Pro Performance. My name's Dan Welch. I'm here with Kristi LaRue, and frankly, we're talking about products that close. I think the reason for that is because if they don't close, they're not the products that we want to offer, nor do you. But today we're super excited. We're going to have the opportunity to talk about a product that I know many of you have asked us for. Many of us have asked for as well. And we're leaning into DSCR. And I think where we landed is about where we wanted to be. So if you want to go to the next slide there, we'll refer to the person controlling the slides as, the great and powerful Oz. But my name's Dan Welch. I'm one of our senior divisional vice presidents. I've been with the family of companies for about 15 years. I was a loan officer for a really long time before we, a small group of us decided that inside sales for, at the time, QLMS was a good idea. So I've got some knowledge on the sales side to clients. I've got some knowledge on the sales side to B2B, which is almost exactly what DSCR should be able to bring all of us. So I don't know, Kristi, I imagine that you want to introduce yourself, or you can leave it to me, up to you.
I'll introduce. Thank you, Dan. I'm
Hmm.
excited to be here today. I've just recently joined Rocket in June of this year. I've been hired to grow the non-delegated channel. And as Dan years ago, I was a loan officer. So it will be nice to actually be able to offer this DSCR product to our new LOs and existing ones so they can grow their book of business.
100%. And I think the next slide is going to do a pretty good job of giving us an idea of where we're going to take this presentation. So some outcomes that we're looking for, we want to kind of list the eligibility requirements. So if this is something that you do a lot of, um, you'll know how to do it with us. And then we'll kind of assess some of who this is appropriate for, the DSCR, for those that are a little bit less familiar. And then ideally, you'll walk out of here with some ideas on how to grow your business, right? Identify where those opportunities are, because I think that, like One Plus did for us in the past, DSCR, if you're not doing it today, is a heck of a marketing tool, right? You guys get the opportunity to be in business just like we are. Find those relationships that can last a long time, and also with borrowers that are going to transact and retransact. So it's really one of those products that you can kind of go out and grow with, which is great. And then the great and powerful Oz, if you want to go to the next slide. Now, acronyms are maybe the greatest thing that the mortgage industry has ever provided. I think I have over 1,000 acronyms in my tool belt, and we are excited to bring you the DSCR. Now, Kristi, if you want to tell us a little bit more about that, we would appreciate it.
Well, the good news is, Dan, you now have 1,001 in your
Yeah,
in your arsenal. So debt service ratio coverage is DSCR, and you will use only this to qualify the loan. You will no longer use DTI. What that is you'll take the lease payment, you'll divide that by your mortgage payment, and as long as you get a 1 or higher, the loan qualifies with Rocket.
and that's something I love. It's like we're underwriting that independent property, which also makes the underwriting legwork a little bit easier too. If you want to go to the next slide there. So what we're going to dive into next is this is for the person that does this a lot. And hey, when I've got one, when will it fit Rocket's bucket? And if we want to go to the next slide, we'll kind of look at the matrix first. And Kristi, I think you're going to walk us through this one.
Yep. So you will use, if you have a purchase or rate and term refinance, you need a minimum loan amount of 125,000, and we will go up to 3 million on a single unit or up to 1 to 4 family. You have to have a minimum FICO of 680 on a purchase, and you'll get 75% LTV. And again, you need a DSCR ratio of 1. On a rate and term, you need, if you have a 680, you can go to 75, but you'll need a 720 if you want to go to the 80% LTV. And for cash out, you will have 125,000 for your minimum loan amount. Maximum will be 2.5 million, and max cash in hand is a half a million. Again, you can use it on a 1 to 4 unit with a 700 FICO. You're maxed at 70 LTV, and a 720, you're maxed at 75, and your ratio is 1. And
Yep,
keep in mind, this is for experienced investors. It's not for first-time investors.
100%. So I kind of love the simplicity of it. It's, hey, how much does the house cost? Does the rent cover the house? Which I think is great. And if you go to the next slide there. great and powerful. We're going to break down a little bit of the eligibility overview. So we're going to talk about the experience requirement, which Kristi foreshadowed for us. We're going to talk a little bit about the residency, income, and then there's some stuff on assets that you'll want to know in that section as well. And then also properties that are going to be ineligible for us. So experience. Basically, this is a product that oftentimes is sold and resold and repackaged to people that do this a lot, which is great. A great way for you to kind of grow your book and kind of nurture those clients time and time again. But with our DSCR, we're going to have a 1 year level of experience. So in the last 36 months, they must have owned a rental property for 12 of those 36 months. Residency, we're going to be looking for clients to be a U.S. citizen with a valid Social Security number and a permanent resident. So keep that in mind. And then Kristi, tell us a little bit about those income and assets.
And for income, you're going to have to use all of your own income, and there are no gift funds allowed. And then for ineligible properties, none under construction. Again, no owner occ. This is only for your rental properties. No non-arm's length transactions. You cannot lease your property to a family member, and the property cannot be listed within the past 6 months. And you can only finance a maximum of 20 properties, but you can have as many as you want unfinanced.
Perfect. Now we also have a little layer there too. If you have more than 7 finance properties, you've got to have a 720 FICO. And any cash out that you are taking from this loan, those assets can be used for reserves too, which is a bonus. If you want to go to the next slide. Doc requirements. Kristi and I think, well, how would you describe it? We spent hours and hours and hours developing this list of doc requirements. And then we looked at it. It looked very easy, which is always a concern. So, we double checked with somebody else to make sure that we had everything right. But the fact of the matter is this is a good representation of the fact that these loans are easy to do. You're looking at your VA IRRRLs and your FHA streamlines for those kind of loans that are like just a few sheets of paper and the loan's ready to close. DSCR, because we are truly underwriting that one property, is also very, very simple. So on short-term rentals, we've got 2 buckets, refi and purchase. On refinance, we need a 1007 or a 1025, depending on the property type, as well as a 12-month history of rent. Pretty straightforward. And then purchase, we're going to need a market rent. So that 1007 or 1025 again, with, I think this is maybe my favorite term in the mortgage industry, with a rentalizer.
Rent analyzer?
Yeah, the old rentalizer. And we'll use a lot of different rentalizers as long as they come from a property management company. That's the big thing there. And then long-term rent, you're looking at a refi. We need a 1007 or a 12-month lease with 1 month received, or a 1025, depending on the property type. And then purchase, we're looking at a 1007 or 1025 with a qualifying lease if transferring. Okay, so that's your long-term stuff. Now, LLCs, this is a benefit because this is something that we as Rocket have never done before. We've never had the ability to close into an LLC. I am not a great fit for a DSCR loan because I own one house. I don't necessarily have plans to expand and become like some real estate juggernaut. And when I looked at this, I don't have an LLC. So it looked a little intimidating to me, but Kristi, you said, rest assured it's not.
It is not that daunting. We only need 4 things for an LLC. You need your certificate of good standings from the Secretary of State. And if they don't have it, we can find it on the internet. That's easy. We'll need their articles of incorporation or organization. We'll need the operating agreement, and then we'll need the LLC member resolution. That's it. It's that simple. And then for your investor experience, again, they have to have 12 months of investor experience. And if they can't find proof of that, an easy way is a lease agreement or your Schedule E for your tax returns. And keep in mind, even if they show us that there's a loss, we don't care. It's just proof of investor experience. Because again, we only go by the ratio of the property that we're lending on.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because I know on some of the other ones, as we go to the next slide here, like our non-agency product, if you're sending us tax returns, you're crazy.
Yep.
But on the DSCR, if you send us the tax returns, you're just normal. That's okay. We're going to be fine with that. Now, this is just like a high level overview of some of the things that we see as like the inches on our DSCR. So if you carry a license in the state that you're typically originating, you're also going to have access to 29 other states that you can originate DSCR in with us, which is great. We're rolling this out with like basically a product or a payment plan that mirrors what we do today with our non-agency and bank statement loan, where you'll have a 30-year fixed offering, and then you'll also have a 40-year interest only offering. Now, the cool thing here is the 30-year fixed, when you qualify for your DSCR ratio, it's off of that full amortized payment. When you go interest only, you're actually qualifying your DSCR ratio based on the interest only payment, which is great. Might save a deal, but also, you're dealing with investors at this point. That's when interest only, adjustable rate mortgages, it's not going to be available on this product just yet, but interest only, those little offshoot products are going to appeal more to somebody that's in the business of doing loans like DSCR. Going to be able to close in an LLC, which we mentioned before. It's very easy. And then we're offering short-term and long-term rent to be used for eligibility, which is fantastic.
I think my favorite, Dan, is the Navigate that we've perfected. We've been, behind the scenes building this for years. And this will help a first-time loan officer sell the DSCR product to an experienced investor. And they'll think they've been doing this for years. After that, we offer non-warrantable and warrantable condos. And then we also offer properties up to 20 acres. I think the good piece on this is there's a lot out there that will only allow for 3 to 5 acres, and we will go beyond that. Then we also will allow a prepayment penalty in the states that allow it. And we offer it as a 3-year or a 5-year, and then each year it declines.
Yeah,
And you don't have to have a prepay if you don't want one.
Yeah, for sure. And something, when at the time that we recorded this, we were live with DSCR. So we went into our pricing engine, and if your state or if you're doing business in a state that you're not licensed in, so you're a little less familiar with it, just by entering that zip code, it will pop up the appropriate prepayment penalty options that are available for that state. So it's a little bit less work that you have to do. You won't have to sell a loan, make a new application, and then have to reapply because you sold something that doesn't work. So we thought through a lot of those little things too. And
Well,
if
and
we want
another,
to,
oh,
go ahead,
I was going to say
please.
another thing you can do is you can go into Pathfinder and look at the 29 states that you don't have to be licensed in to add to your arsenal.
Yeah, and thanks to our team for not making us read that list out. Reading publicly is, not one of my favorite pastimes for sure. If you want to go to the next slide, please. So this is the business goals part, right? So we gave you an idea of like some of the benefits of the DSCR program that we offer. But being blunt with you, like every product that every mortgage company offers you at any level is just an arrow for your quiver. Like, how can I leverage this type of product to grow my book of business, right? It's your superpower as a broker. You have, different products and different offerings from other lenders that you can then kind of brag about and really break down like new business partnerships. Like at that point, and really the last 3 years, you guys have seen that the market has changed tremendously. It used to be walk down the street, introduce yourself, you had an interest rate to offer that was lower than likely what they had. Whereas today's world, we're establishing new business partnerships and business relationships, just like we do as AEs and DVPs every day, right? Like we're in the business of finding business-minded people. So think about like who DSCR can get you an introduction to, because it's a real estate transaction. So you're looking at accountants. Accountants know who own a lot of properties, right? You're looking at real estate agents. Real estate agents know who their favorite client is, right? The person that gets the really nice cutting board when they purchase a home, right? Not just the little one. Real estate attorneys, property managers, investment groups, financial planners. Now, the great thing is that is a person that is very easy to scratch their back if they scratch yours, right? Like in every transaction that you do, If you're referring business and getting business from an insurance agent, which probably hasn't been like your top referral source in the past, it's easy to recommend them for somebody who's looking for insurance in the future, right? So think about how DSCR can help you kind of grow and expand that book of business, because it's tough to find clients. It's not hard to find people who are you know, in real estate, doing taxes, doing finance. They probably work pretty hard so that they're very easy to find and strike up a conversation. And if we want to go to the next slide here. So this is not necessarily the business to business tool, but now we're talking about the business to client, the client facing aspect of making a sale. So we've met somebody who has referred us a client. I haven't, dealt with DSCR or dealt with this necessary, like this profile of a client before, so I'd like to practice it. So what you have in Rocket Pro Navigate, which is our LLM, and I know I talked about acronyms before and how I didn't want to reintroduce one, but it's a large language model. So it's our offering to you to work on and leverage AI, but tools like this are not easy to create out of thin air, right? Like for it to speak mortgage, you have to speak mortgage with it consistently. So we've been working on this tool for some time before it was released to you all, so that it would have that kind of language and that kind of speak already ingrained and built within it. So on the left side of the screen that you're looking at here, you have client notes, you have document analyzer, we have sales role playing, which we'll demo for you here in just a second, and then we have lead scanner. We're also building out like a Q&A app inside of Navigate. So if you haven't done DSCR before, you can ask whatever questions you want and get some ideas. But this is a sales tool when you're talking about specifically the sales role playing app, where it can build scenarios for you to practice. So think about this tool as if you're hiring, right? Like you've got people that don't have a license. For years, we had partners asking, like, what's the secret sauce at Rocket? It's practice, frankly. It's practice and it's accountability. We build a script, we make you practice it. We listen to you on the phone when you do a good job of it. We prop you out for that. And if you have opportunities, we show you those opportunities too. But if we want to go ahead and get started on the demo, we'll show you how easy this tool is to use. And if you're unaware, the previous Pro Performance was actually done on exactly how to leverage Rocket Pro Navigate. And Kristi, it looked like you might have wanted to pop in there and say something.
I did. I was going to say, and you can also use our new dictation. Instead of typing into it, you can talk into it, and it makes life so much easier. Or you can even upload a PDF to help you.
Yeah, 100%. So like we've built out some prompts for you. So the first prompt you're looking at is, could you create a scenario where the client is looking to purchase their third investment property? Okay, so now it's going to give you a little bit of background. So like that's what you may know about this client based on, where the referral source came from, what you talked to with the person that sent the business over to you. It's a little bit of what you know. So now it's giving you an introduction. So that's basically just like you said, Kristi. I am definitely not one to get started by typing. So like Rocket Pro Navigate has helped me a ton because of that dictation tool. I can just say the scenario that I wanted to play out, and then it'll give you like an opportunity to respond. Rather than typing in a response, you can say the response, say the way that you wanted to say it. And then what you'll see here is like quick coaching notes. So what you did a good job of. You immediately addressed her rate concern, which was given to you in the background story, and introduced a relevant product solution that could differentiate you from the previous lender she had a bad experience with. But it's also going beyond that. You notice that, this is probably a crappy response in my opinion, because Navigate gave you a very brief what you did well, and then a lot of areas of improvement, right? So when you're talking about like someone new to the business, it's difficult to really listen to a phone call, provide the coaching. Maybe you don't have the technology for that. This makes that process very, very, very easy. So avoid leading with, I understand your frustration. She expressed skepticism, not frustration. So right there off the rip, it's telling you like, hey, you didn't respond in the right way. You're kind of missing the mark on what this client is really sharing with you. Also, you jump straight to the product features without first discovering her specific situation. So we didn't ask enough questions. So now, and you could take it a step further, like what questions should I have asked? And it will give you great questions to ask, which is probably, the real crux of being a good salesperson is what questions you should be asking. Now, outside of the sales role playing app, there's a lot of things that you can do just in the standard features by, starting a new chat. But if you're hiring somebody new and you need to build like a onboarding plan for this person or a training plan for this person, Navigate can do all of that for you. And I'll tell you, if you're at that stage in your business, at least start there. You want your unique thought, your resources, but this is a really good place to honestly just speak what you want into an engine that's going to give you good ideas that you can build a framework off of, which is, I think, outstanding. And as we kind of transition to the next slide, Kristi, I don't know if there's anything about Navigate that you love to use or would like to share.
Yes, I think my favorite thing about Navigate is the document analyzer. You can use it for your tax returns, paycheck stubs, and even
Yeah.
analyzing LEs.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's been huge. Like I've used it for like divorce decrees with partners before because it's like, 50 pages of documents that you need to analyze, but there's, maybe one sentence in there that really matters. So, it's great at like extracting certain pieces of information you need from, tax returns, from a divorce decree, from, a purchase agreement that's from the 1980s because your state doesn't require like the exact same one every time. So it's great for things like that. Now, what we wanted to do is just kind of give you guys a quick review because really our main goals were to show you what we got, talk to, some of the tools that we offer you guys to help understand what a client profile is going to look like, maybe where to talk to some potential business partnerships that you can get into now leveraging this product that maybe you didn't have necessarily the talking points that you wanted to, but know our DSCR, know our process, get a better understanding of how you can leverage this to expand your market. If the great and powerful Oz wants to go to that next slide. We have homework. These are action commitments, right? So the first thing we would love you to do is talk to your AE. Your AEs know this product inside and out. So if there's nuance that wasn't covered here, which there is, leverage your account executive to talk it out with them. Also, leverage your account executive to use the Navigate app. I've been working on LLMs for a little while, and that is a tough acronym to say. So props to me there. But honestly, the one main takeaway that I've gotten is like what Kristi mentioned about the dictating tool. I didn't know that I could do that. I would just never would have thought to try to speak to it. And it's changed the way that I've interacted with AI forever moving forward, right? So talk to your AE about it. Talk to the people in your office on how they're leveraging it. Screw around with it. You can't break it. You might create slowness, I've noticed, but you can't break it. So, it works for your business if it's a tool that you're working on consistently. And then maybe most important, build a referral network. Leverage this product for what it is, a way for you to find not only those loans, but more loans. So talk to your accountants, talk to real estate agents, attorneys, property managers, investment groups, financial planners. Go out and build that network. Then if we go to the next slide. And then the other piece of homework is come back. Pro performance, it's ongoing, it's consistent. We're trying to, put a lot out for you guys. But also we want to close the year strong. We've run many kind of sales incentives closing out the year every year. So join us December 4th for a little bit more of a breakdown on what you can expect to us to round out 2025 on a high note. And then maybe first, like most importantly, if we go to that next slide, Kristi, I don't know if you want to take this one.
Sure. Thank you. We
Yeah.
appreciate your time, and hopefully we've given you a good foundation on the DSCR product.
Thank you so much.